passes in their last 7 games. Baltimore beat the Chargers a few weeks ago here in LA, and in that game, Philip Rivers had one of his worst games of the season. No touchdown passes, and he was sacked 4 times. Shannon, who do you trust more in the playoffs, Lamar or Philip Rivers?
I'm going to go Rivers slightly.
Okay.
I just believe in the playoffs, after having played in the playoffs, that it comes down to there'll be a couple of plays in a game that needs to be made via the quarterback's arm.
Okay.
And you're not going to be able to run for the first. You're not going to be able to hand it off for the first. You're going to have to throw for the first. And I just believe that Philip is more, at this point of his career, I just believe that he's more qualified to do that than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, his most passing yards in the season is 204. Had he had enough completion attempts, 58% completion would have ranked him 31st in the league. Rivers, for the most part, has been an MVP candidate. Now, I still believe that he'll finish somewhere top 5 in the MVP. I believe Mahomes, Breeze, Luck, either Donald or Rivers will be 4th and 5th, and I believe that's the way it's going to play out, Skip. But if you look at it like this, since he's been named a starter, Lamar Jackson's had 13 pass attempts where it's been 3rd and 10 or longer. He's completed 1. I feel comfortable in saying that come playoff time, there's going to be a time or two in this game. It's going to be 3rd and 10. And Lamar Jackson will need to make a throw. And I believe there'll be 3rd and 10 for the Chargers. And I just believe Philip Rivers, at this point of his career, is better suited to make those throws than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is really, really heavily dependent on the running game. You look, and they can run it as well as anybody has. 7 games, over 1,500 yards rushing. That's unbelievable. Only the 77 Bears had that many rush yards over a 7-game span. So for me, I'm going to trust Rivers because I believe that in the playoffs, you're going to have to make a throw. And I just believe right now what Rivers is in his career, he's better suited to make that throw than Lamar Jackson.
Okay. So I hear everything you just said. I also am here to say this is a crazy question in the biggest picture because Lamar Jackson at this stage of his young career does not even belong in the same sentence with Philip Rivers.
He doesn't.
But I'm also here to tell you that I trust Lamar a little bit more on Sunday at Baltimore than I trust Philip Rivers because of the circumstances involved here. I believe Lamar will not try to do too much because they don't ask him to do too much.
They don't let him.
They don't let him. He does exactly what he's capable of doing at this stage of his NFL growth.
Yep.
I believe Philip Rivers at some point on Sunday, on some 3rd and 10, will try to do a little too much because that's who he is and what he has always been to this franchise. And too often when he tries to do too much, you know what happens, right? So let's look at Philip Rivers. He is 4 and 5 in the postseason, which it's okay, but it's not great. It's not living up to his regular season stats and stature,
that is
right?
Correct.
So in the postseason, he's 11 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. He has not won a playoff game in 5 years. And he got to the one AFC championship game that was against those 07 Patriots who were loaded, but it was that cold day up in Foxborough, and he had a bad game. He was 19 to 37 for 211 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Sounds like the numbers against Baltimore.
Yeah.
And they weren't very good, and Brady and company went on to the Super Bowl and obviously lost to Eli and company. So the point is, Philip Rivers has to feel more pressure on Sunday at Baltimore because he's turned now 37 years of age. He's in his 15th year, and he was quoted a year ago as saying, there's no way I'm going to play until I'm 45 years of age. He has no ambition to do a Brady, right?
Yeah, you're going to have to, Skip.
Do you think because of the kids?
Yeah.
So he's got a 9th kid on the way.
On the way.
Okay. That's a lot of kids.
Something tells me in 2 years he's going to have a 10th one on the way.
Well, that's been his history, right? Okay. But he also said that at some point he wants to help coach his son's high school team. And his son has now just turned 16 years of age. I'm not sure exactly which year in high school he is. Sophomore, maybe. But
which son?
Okay, which son?
He got a bunch of them.
I know he's got but that's the oldest kid. So he probably would like to help coach a bunch of his boys as their girls or whatever as they come up.
Yes.
And the point is, I just don't know how much longer he wants to do that with that much responsibility at home. That's a lot of responsibility.
And plus the thing, Skip, the commute. Because he still lives in San Diego, and he has that car that's tricked out that he drives to and from.
He does.
Every single day. I mean, you think about that, Skip. Okay, 1 year, that's fine. But you start doing that 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you know, San Diego to where they, you know, that's not a short commute.
It is not a short commute, especially with what can happen on the 405.
Yes.
I'm sure he's got a drive.
He does have a driver. But you
He's
still
studying film.
Jenny made that commute.
It was longer than I felt, actually.
Skip, think about it. You're not flying the plane, but going back and forth for extended periods of time, you're like, man, this is for the birds.
Hey, I had a once a week commute from Bristol, Connecticut to New York City, and it was no cakewalk.
Exactly. No.
Yeah, no fun. So back to this. Philip Rivers and company, they threw the ball, the Chargers did, 512 times this year, and they ran it 399. So you know they're going to put it up, right?
Yes, yes.
And we know that Lamar and company, they're just going to run it and run it. As long as they can run it, they will run it.
But they're going to get 40 attempts.
Okay? And a number of those attempts will feature Lamar.
Correct.
Because he's really good at that.
Yes.
And I think he's been shockingly good under pressure at those little key passes. And they're not big deals, they're just little big deals.
But you remember last week, Skip?
Yeah.
They didn't let him throw it.
No.
The last drive, it was 3 runs, and you know Greg Williams is coming. Greg Williams is coming with run blitzes, and they would not let him throw the football. So it told you at that moment what they were thinking.
But at Kansas City, I saw him throw it enough to put them ahead 24-17 with 2 minutes left, right? Okay, that was pretty great. What I love about this kid is, I've told you from the start, I like his poise under fire. He doesn't change. I don't see him flinch. I don't see fidgety. I don't see nervous body language. He looks just the way he looked at Louisville, like playing a college football game. The stage isn't too big for him. He believes in himself and what he can and can't do. He gets that so far. They get it. Marty Morningweg gets it. John Harbaugh gets it. They're putting him in very advantageous positions to do exactly. He throws it well enough to win this game on Sunday.
And what they do, Skip, is that they catch you off because they let him throw a lot of his throws come on 1st and 2nd down.
They do.
When you're not expecting it. Because they don't want him to get in 3rd and long. They don't want him to throw in a situation
and
where
obviously,
you know he's going to throw
almost all of them come off some kind of play action.
Of course.
Any kind of read option action. It makes it easier. It is, you hate this description, but it is Tebow-esque. He does everything in common with Tebow as far as their styles go, but they're similar approaches that 2011 Broncos run to this run.
Well, Skip, you run the zone read because now we got to find out what you're going to do. So it's got to play. It's going to crystallize itself. And so we want to make sure that he's not throwing in some exotic coverage. We know because they run the ball so well, it's going to be one-on-one. The question is, can he be accurate enough to hit the open guy one-on-one?
That is the question. And so far, I think he's been mostly accurate enough to hit the open receiver. So let's look at the Ravens defense. They're 2nd in points allowed, 1st in yards allowed. What do they feature in their back end? A guy named Eric Weddle, who's in his, this is his 12th year, Eric Weddle. He made the Pro Bowl this year. And 9 of those seasons were spent practicing against Philip Rivers. So does he not know Philip Rivers pretty well? Does he not anticipate him pretty well? He probably does. So Chargers were 8th in points allowed. Pretty good. This year's Super Bowl pick is a good pick. That kid, Derwin James, is a flat-out stud. Way more talented, I think, than Eric Weddle is. And he made the Pro Bowl, but he's in his 1st year in the National Football League. So will this stage be a little bigger than he's used to be? Sure, it will.
Well, and the thing is, Skip, it's been reported that they're going to activate Hunter Henry, who tore his ACLs. So that's another weapon. So we don't know how effective he's going to be. But Eric Weddle also got $1 million for making the Pro Bowl and making the playoff.
Pretty good.
Nice little consolation prize. But it's going to be interesting. How can the Chargers put the Ravens and Lamar Jackson in a situation where we know you're going to throw the ball when we want you to throw it? Would I be surprised if they ran the ball 50 times? Absolutely not.
I would not either.
Because if history is any indication over the last 7 weeks, they've been 35 to almost 50 rush attempts per game.
Okay. So on expectations of each quarterback, I'm going to trust Lamar a little more because he's expected to do way less than Philip with pressure mounting in his, what are we up to, 15th year. Surely Philip's thinking, gee, I don't know how many times I'm going to come this way again. I got a good team. You know, I don't know how many more times I want to do this. Okay, so you don't think he's going to feel a lot of pressure
absolutely.
to do something?
Yeah.
Make a big throw?
Because last year they didn't even make the playoffs.
No.
So as you get older and you miss the playoffs, you're like, well, how many more opportunities am I going to have?
Yep.
It's not like Patrick Mahomes is in his 17th year. He's not going anywhere.
That's a good point.
It's only 4 and 5 in the playoffs too. Like at some point he's going to want to be better than that.
Well, he better start. Well, if he doesn't win this game, he's going to be 4 and 6.
But then you got Harbaugh said this is the best team he's ever been associated with, ever. The way they've handled adversity, support, that means something, right?
Boy,
but hey, Skip, I do not believe, had Joe Flacco not gotten injured, I don't believe they make the playoffs with Joe Flacco.
That's what's
totally
crazy
agree.
about this.
Yeah.
Okay, we're switching gears because, Skip, there's this one guy, Kawhi, number 2,
Don't say his
making
name.
a return
Don't say his name.
to San Antonio tonight.
Oh.